Hey everyone, welcome back to the late game episode 32. Yeah, I saw you Zonalar and they're all like, hey, like, and when are you going to actually start the show on 0:00? Now, today, this is the moment when that starts. Anyway, we're back and joining us, you kind of see his face split with JaKaTaK. This is Mohammed. How do you say your last name? Last names don't matter. You know him by Blast on the Ladder. And he is here to talk about a community event in Florida. So you have the floor, Mohammed. Tell people where it is and where they can find information about it and what it is.
All right, so thank you for having me on the show. So, this is the company that's running this tournament. They're called Tampa eSports. They've been running events since like 2012. It's like really big lands with like a bunch of different games, Starcraft 2, CS, Dota, League, and we have an event coming up on July 11th, July 12th. It's a 2-day event and it's a BYOC. So you bring your own computer down. It costs $50 to get in, $50 to bring your own computer. You get to enter in one of the tournaments, and one of the tournaments in there is a StarCraft 2 tournament. Right now we have a $500 prize pool, but if we can get 32 people to sign up, we get a $1,000 prize pool. And we got players. I know, and we have people coming down from all over, coming down to Tampa, coming over. Like I know I've been talking to Zeno. He said he was gonna maybe come over. Sir Robin said he was probably gonna come by. We have a lot of good people about to come down over here, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. And if you wanna buy the tickets, I'll link it in chat right here. Um,
Cool.
yeah, you can just go over there, buy it. It costs $50. It is kind of expensive, and it is a BYOC, but really, like the events are amazing. I always go over there, and I've been there to like every one of their events, and you always have so much fun. You go hang out. I don't know. There's always like they're always really fun events. So
It's a lot of great way to see your local community. You know, find people maybe to drive to events with, and all
mm,
that stuff. So that sounds awesome, guys. Check it out. I believe that the information is no, it's not on this list that I'm showing here. The list you guys can see below our faces is a bunch of other community events that are going on. Mohammed, where can people find information for this event?
for this event, if you want to find any more information, we have the Facebook event page. I'll link it in chat over as well. Just go there, like say you click on going or maybe, and then all information goes over there. Again, and yeah, you'll find like all information of like when all updates on the event that's gonna happen.
Awesome. Well, hey man, thanks for coming on, and good luck, and hopefully you'll kick ass at the event.
All right, sweet man. Thank you.
Yep, have a good one.
You too.
Cool beans. So guys, yeah, if you live in that area, definitely go check it out. Even as a spectator, a lot of people like to see the big crowds. The events that I was showing below, I'll actually have a list of those printed out, and I'll put a link to like an Imgur or something like that uh, in the YouTube video for these episodes. But as far as the events go, that's something I've been wanting to post are, events in between shots, get a slide with it. So next time I'll work on something a little prettier. I was a little rushed this week, just got those gathered up today. So next time will be a little nicer. But anyway, we're going to make that a regular thing where we show you guys the local events going down in different areas and the online tournaments and all that stuff. But getting back into the show, now it's time for our favorite part of the show, where we talk about a previous topic that we skipped over so we could finish up and use one of our other guests. And that is going. Did anyone have Steven, Jeff, JaKaTaK? Any of you guys have any final thoughts on Legacy of the Void and the community feedback?
One thing I like to talk about that didn't really get mentioned, that was kind of like with the chat was really the root of my particular frustration, was the lack of understanding of not the double harvest mod, but like the purpose of the double harvest mod and how it differs from Legacy of the Void, and in general a misunderstanding of the double harvest mod in general, and all the topics brought up in the depth of micro and the lack of understanding. We did get responses from Blizzard from the with both of those two things, and then the community came back with responses that were basically saying, no, that's you were misunderstanding what we're trying to do here, or you're misunderstanding what's going on, and then it's sort of radio silence after that. So, like for instance, with the depth of micro stuff, it's like a couple of those things aren't even really like it's not even really much of a debate. It's mostly just like this is a bug. Like when you're controlling oracles, because they're not projectile attack, because they're instant attack, and the way that overkill works, you can't control more than one oracle consistently, so that it'll move around. They'll slide out of place and do things like that. And that has to do with the way the engine handles separation and deceleration. And that's not really much of a design idea. It's just sort of, I think most people will agree, when you control a group of units, they should all basically do the same thing. And they don't currently, and that's still sort of a problem. So I think that, I don't know how you all feel about this, but just the sort of, okay, we heard you. It's like, no, you didn't hear us. We mean something completely different than you misunderstood us, and then like radio silence after that is sort of a very frustrating thing for me personally.
Jeff, any thoughts on that?
No, it's fine.
Okay, Steven?
Sounds pretty straightforward.
I mean, I agree with your thoughts on it. It's very frustrating and they put a lot of work into it. Not just those people, but the community members. I held a tournament, with the double harvest. Now they did comment on it though in their thing, saying, "Hey, we are paying attention to it." So do you think it's kind of one of the things they did also say is that while it's a very popular idea in the community, it might not be the best. Do you think that maybe they did revisit it, or they did understand, or they did think that no, you misunderstood, that you think we misunderstood, and just never felt the need to go back to it?
Well, I think all those things are possible, and because there wasn't the discussion, there was a present. This is my response. No, you misunderstood. There was nothing after that. Because of that, we don't know.
Right.
And knowing would be good, especially because that's something that's really, really important to the community, has been something that's really, really important to the community. And it's just sort of at the foundation of all that is StarCraft. Like, it affects the balance of attack, expand, defend, which is like super, super like basic and critical. And I think the reason why a lot of people feel things like the economy are so critical and there's this sense of urgency is because people feel like this is our last shot at getting a big change going on into this fundamental problem that we've been, dealing with and complaining about and wanting to have a discussion with Blizzard about since Wings of Liberty, So I think that's a lot where that's coming from.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let's move into the question section now. And per every week, this is the disclaimer, I have not vetted the questions because they continue to flood in up until now. So it's really not easy. I'll get an admin to do it eventually, I promise. I'll keep that promise. But let's see. For JaKaTaK and In Control, Starbow has been getting a lot of hype recently. What do you think it needs going forward to continue growing, and are either of you considering making content for it? In Control.
Me personally, no, I'm not considering making content for it. A guy subbed and said, I'll sub if you play Starbow, so I will play some Starbow eventually. But I remember the first cycle of Starbow when like Tasteless was on the hype train. A lot of people were like, oh, this is it. This could replace mainstream StarCraft, and it absolutely did not. I don't think it needs to, and I don't think people need to take the hype so high. Like, if you prefer it, you're having fun, that's fucking awesome. And it is really well made and really well done, and I think that's so cool. But like, whenever people ask me, they're like, "Hey, are you gonna switch to Starbow? And do you think this could be the next big thing?" It's like, I don't think so, personally. If I'm wrong, okay, I'm gonna play whatever the biggest StarCraft thing there is. And if Starbow kills Legacy of the Void and replaces it, I'll play Starbow. But otherwise, no.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think I really enjoy the gameplay with Starbow, particularly like the unit control is just, for me, really, really fun. I really enjoy it. And it's really cool that they've put so much work into it and made it happen. I think it has the potential to be something big, but I don't think it's sort of like, it's not like, I am making Starbow content. I'm working on Starbow content right now, but it's not like, I would never be able to say, oh, you know what? This is a career decision. I'm going to switch from making StarCraft 2 content to Starbow, because Starbow has an even smaller like fan base than StarCraft does. If I would be switching games, I'd be switching games in a way that would open up my like base user, like my user base that I could be accessing for something like League of Legends or Dota 2. I'm not going to do that because I don't play those games. But It's like, not in a serious way. Like I don't analyze those games. I don't like do those games all day long. But it's really really cool that people are doing it, and I hope that it gains a lot of popularity because I mean, like we were talking about, monopolies suck, and I don't think anyone would disagree that Blizzard has a monopoly on the RTS genre in gaming right now in a major way. And if that were to change, I think it would be good for everyone.
Okay. Let's see. Moving on to the next question.
Well, what about me in Starbow?
Oh well, they don't care about you. In
They
Starbow,
don't care
but
about you.
Steven, please enlighten us on your future Starbow
No,
plans.
I have no plans of playing it. Okay.
Okay, so Jeff, we've talked before, and we've kind of agreed that November's a really likely time that StarCraft Legacy of the Void's going to come out. Do you think that's enough time to develop QA and make this game the best it can be?
I mean, I'm completely uneducated on that kind of thing, but I guess yes or no is not really important because, like I said, I have nothing to go off of that any other decently educated person could say. What I would say is I think Blizzard has shown that they will not, other than Diablo 3, release a game that's ready to be released, right? Like, we can say November, but it could be, it's going to be when Blizzard says it's ready. So
Blizzard's pushed back many games.
I'm not super, like, I don't have, vacations squared away for November to just literally play for 72 hours straight. Like, there's nothing for me. So when they release that game, I just hope it is ready, and I trust them to do that because that's what they do.
Yeah.
I'd be really, really surprised if it came out in November 2015. I'd be kind of disappointed. I hope that the beta is longer than that.
So one thing I want to say is just to not, for people of the same mind wondering, hey, is this going to be enough time? Don't expect the game to come out. I mean, expect it to come out and be fun and to be moderately well balanced, but balance takes a lot of time with an RTS. We're going to get a whole new data set as soon as the final build gets released. We're gonna, where we've tested it in the beta and they've tested it in their play. Once we hit the tournament scene and the meta starts evolving, we're gonna find new problems with the game, just like we did with Heart of the Swarm over the years. So expect a really good, solid game when it finally releases. Blizzard has never hesitated to delay. I know this because I have made many plans for World of Warcraft and had to delay my late night stream playing sessions. Because Blizzard, they delay their games when they're not happy. So I expect StarCraft to be in a solid state when it gets released.
Oh, yeah.
Is Destiny actually going to be... Yes, he is.
What am I?
If you're going to
On
be
the
on
show.
today.
Are you? It's the weekly. Are you really going to be on the show?
No.
Are you going to
Yeah, this
be?
week.
What state will you? What will be your physical state when you're on the show? Where will your mind be? What will you be wearing? What you will be doing?
I'm
The
disappointed.
usual lowdown on Steven.
I'm
That's what we need to
disappointed
know.
I can't see your monitor in the mirror anymore.
Why is it? I didn't move anything.
Oh, yeah, no, I can't see it. Like, in that little nook in the back. I don't know. That's used to be...
Oh, I think it's because my closet is open instead of closed.
Okay, all right.
That's it, man.
Yeah. All right.
Open your closet.
My bad.
All right, for In Control, over the past months, TVP at the top level has been a lot about Reaper Fast Expand into single production mine drops and a fast transition into bio. But recently, a lot of Terrans have switched to reactor mines over Hellions, or even Hellions, production in the early game. What do you think triggered this change, and do you think the transition into bio production is too hindered by this choice if the Protoss decides to do something aggressive?
So actually, in that thread on Reddit, I actually really like the responses that the two guys posted to that. I think it's really good advice. And for the benefit of everyone on the stream right now, I think that's largely in part because it's good defensively against a one-base timing attack, namely like Blink Stalkers or Oracles, which are still extremely prevalent. Also, the Reactor Widow Mine is still pretty good offensively, and you're not giving up a whole lot to do that. And then the Hellion follow-up that they're talking about as well is just a natural progression. I've got a reactor in the factory. 400 minerals later, I have a little hit squad that, if they don't pay attention, at worst gets off a photon overcharge, and at best probably fries up 8, 9, 10 probes, which is, in a TVP, that's game over. Like you delaying your bio production but killing 10 probes really fucks over the Protoss in a big way. They're on a very fragile two-base economy that walks a fine line of either hitting a strong two-base timing attack or getting out enough Colossus with upgrades to defend 3 bases, which on a lot of these maps is very difficult because you need Blink Stalkers to back that up, that's a lot of gas, that's a lot of minerals. So if you can affect their economy in almost any way, you kind of force them into the two-base all-in situation. And if the Terran knows that's coming, they have a much better chance of holding it off. So it's a really strong. It gives up on the Bioforce that was really in fashion for a while. People were just pushing out with 12 Marines, triggering a photon overcharge, and then quickly following it up with 2 medevacs and harassing.
Mm-hmm.
But like so much in StarCraft 2, and in particular with Protoss players, when they calibrate and get really used to something, they can get on top of it and start cutting corners and winning games much easier. So it's the Zergs and Terrans in particular that if they can mix things up and change the meta, keeps the Protoss on their back foot and gives them a lot more success. If Protoss knows exactly what you're doing, they're like the hardest race to play against in this game. Like they'll just sit back, never attack, take 3 bases. Their stalkers are in the right place. Their colossus are coming out at the right time. They're chrono boosting their economy or units depending on exactly what they know. And that's why so many Protoss builds revolve around having 3 or 4 observers out as well. Is because if they do know everything, they're fucking hard to beat. But if they don't know things, then all of a sudden those 8 Marines land in a mineral field. Your Widow Mine is hitting things, like stuff starts to snowball.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Next question is going to be, why do you think David Kim talks to Wolf and the pros in Korea but not foreign players? I guess this was discussed yesterday on Remax. Jeff, from the sound of it, we've talked before, it sounds like David Kim, when he comes to these events where foreigners are there, he's engaged and he's discussing and he's talking to them about the game. Is this true?
Absolutely. I know that he talks to a lot of foreigner pros.
Okay.
I think there might be some jealousy there because it's more said that he talks to Korean pros, but I think that's partly in the community's fault anyways, because Korean pros are idolized as like gods that know this game on just another level that us mere foreigners could never understand. So when David Kim talks to Koreans, what they're trying to broadcast to the community is like, look guys, we've literally consulted Jesus and we're talking to God, and the game that will come as a result of this could be in its near perfect form. Whereas it's not nearly as sexy to be like, hey guys, Avilo gave us some great advice on mech, and we're talking to Cats. And then Cats tweets a day later, hey, I'm not playing StarCraft this month. I want to play Dota only. Whereas with the Korean pros, it's like, we play StarCraft. There is no other existence. Like it's just completely... It's much better publicity to say you're talking to a Korean than any foreigner about stuff.
Okay. Let's see. This one's directed to everyone. Do anyone have a chance to look at the new Dota updates?
Nope.
I always hear about them on Twitter, but I don't look up patch notes because that doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of dank fucking shit.
They have new items for the first time ever, I guess, right?
Dank.
Or was that?
Oh, really?
Well, it was a whole they did like a whole UI update.
Dota.
They're doing like custom games and shit, and there's a lot of shit that the Dota community is super hype about, and the League community is super hype about, because then they get to shit on Riot for more stuff too.
So we're regarding the custom games. From the look of it, it's like it's their own arcade, right, Steven? Is that what it is?
I'm not as well versed in it, but that's kind of what it looks like. Like you can build games like using the Source 2 shit. And yeah, like if you wanted to make League of Legends, or if you wanted to make like a 2v2 map or some other kind of custom game, I think you have the capability of doing that. Or I say 2v2, but like you can make like a lot of weird different shit that's not necessarily a MOBA, I think, using the Source 2 engine.
Okay. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. For anyone, as an expert war player, I have always felt Protoss and Terran have switched since Wings of Liberty. Protoss used to be the super mobile army, where Terran had the slower moving, more cost efficient mech army. Do you think Legacy of the Void is shifting more into a direction of giving Protoss its mobility through gateway units again through the Adept? I feel as though this may be true, as I've experimented with... Well, that's the end of the question. I'm sure you've seen that one already, Jeff.
I don't agree. Terran was way more mobile than Protoss, and I mean, we could split hairs, I guess, but Protoss had its own form of mobility in the sense that they can warp in units anywhere on the fucking map. So that's obviously very mobile, but unless you have 40 gateways and infinite money, you're not talking about literally a mobile army on that level. Someone is typing like a son of a bitch right now.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You dirty bird.
Kill yourself.
Yeah, well, it is the internet. So I guess I just don't agree at face value. Like Protoss or Terran bio armies with medevac. I mean, unless you're talking about mech, is one of the most mobile armies in the game. Can pick up and drop anywhere in the map. But even if they're not, if they stim run, they're moving quicker than anybody else. And if they're not doing that, then they're moving at least as fast as everybody else. Protoss armies, not tremendously slow, but I just wouldn't call it super mobile. So I'm not quite sure what he's getting at, I guess.
Okay. Another question, Jeff.
People are in chat are saying that it was supposed to play that Protoss was more mobile in Brood War.
Oh, in Brood War.
Yeah, it was Brood War.
So he's asking if in Legacy of the Void we're returning to.
No, in StarCraft 2, like the swap from. He's saying that it used to be Terran was immobile and then Protoss is mobile, and now in StarCraft 2 it's the opposite. That's what the question is saying. Do you agree? True? What do you think about it?
If we're getting back to the Brood War with Terran,
yes, I agree. Terran were vultures and tanks and spider mines. Excuse me, not widow mines. And they built missile turrets and had Goliaths coming out in a timely fashion to defend against carriers. They were very not mobile. They would harass with their inexpensive 75 mineral vultures, and they would slow push with tanks. Protoss would dance around with shuttles, dragoons, observers, and then Reaver harass, and eventually they would surprise them with carriers. That was the game of TVP back then. Is it different now? Yes. Confirm.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. Jeff, you play a lot of Legacy of the Void. Nobody seems to be complaining about Legacy of the Void Zerg. Would you say it's the most fun and well-balanced race there is right now?
What's the most imbalanced race right now?
No.
No. Is Zerg balanced right now? Is Zerg fun? 2 questions.
Zerg is fun, I think. I think you don't see Ravagers at all anymore, so I'm not, and I'm not going to demonize all Zerg players, but it got a little nerfed, and maybe it was too strong or something, or maybe it kind of falls in the way of the Reaper, where like, well, if we can't rush with it, then I'll never make it. And I know it still appears in ZVZ, but in ZVP it's all but gone. I really do like the additional spell abilities. I think that's really cool. Like the pseudo irradiate that they gave to the Viper is surprisingly strong. Yeah, there was that video that came out like a week and a half ago or whatever of what it does to mass mutas. That's different, I suppose. But yeah, I think they're fun and I think they're pretty cool. I do like how insanely strong Ultralists are. I do like how insanely strong Zerglings are. I think that's very surprising. If I had a complaint, which is not what the question's asking, but I'll always take my time to complain. I do think the Lurker might be a little bit too strong, which is interesting because I think if it's not too strong, then it might have no purpose at all again. But as it is right now, it outranges the Colossus. It all but evaporates any gateway units on the ground. So it's kind of like it's so strong you have to avoid it, and you can only attack them when they're above ground, which we already had that mechanic, although in a worse situation. So this is a better world. But like Swarmhost, it used to be, well, I can't fight those free units. It's just killing me, so I'm going to run away. And then if I can get them when there's not free units there, that's when I can attack them. The Lurker doesn't produce free units, obviously, but if you can attack it when it's above ground because it's kind of immobile, then that's the only time you can attack it because otherwise you're just dying. So I don't like that mechanic so much, but maybe that's just me.
Okay. Let's see. Do you guys... All right, so with looking at a game like Smash Brothers is the example used. He talks about how, Smash 10 years later, scene is stronger than ever, right? Could you see something like that happening with StarCraft? Worst case scenario, StarCraft, we don't really see much growth. In fact, we kind of see even further dip.
What does that mean? How strong is the Smash scene?
So the Smash scene is a game, I guess, that dipped into obscurity. And then,
there's
Smash Brothers.
There's programs signed to major teams. It's at Evo. It's at a lot of these events. It's bigger than ever.
Fighter 4 at Evo or like
all fighter games are at Evo. But I think the question falls off for me is that the scene was very local and small to begin with. The documentary made it really popular to look back on that scene. It was cool. But if you watch that documentary, they're like in sleeping bags at a guy's house for a major tournament. And like they knew about each other from online forums and stuff like that, but the scene was never big like Counter-Strike and Halo and Starcraft and other games like that. And now it's still bigger and more established, and their streams are very healthy. I'm not trying to hate on their game and their scene, but it's not crushing Twitch. It's not revolutionizing gaming. It's just bigger, and I think a large part of that isn't because of any huge development in the game itself. I mean, certainly that there's credit to be given there, but I think a large part of that's just more that Twitch in streaming is bigger and more popular now, so all games got bumped up. Like rising tides raise all ships, you know?
Is my mic really like fucked up? Can you guys hear me?
No,
Or
you're
is it,
fine.
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just one
Yeah,
second.
I don't think that oh, somebody in chat said that subreddit. Yeah, I don't think Twitch is I don't think Super Smash is. I don't know. They kind of sound like I don't want to compare them to like the Bitcoin guys, but sometimes I feel like the Bitcoin community acts like the entire world knows about Bitcoin. Like a lot of people are using it when it's actually like hella fucking obscure. And I feel like Smash is still the same way. Like the Smash community is bigger than I guess it ever has been, and they do hit notoriety like in some points. Like they'll have like their moment, but the Super Smash Brothers isn't even. I don't even know if I would say it's as big as like the Starcraft community, as small as the Starcraft community's gotten. Like I think that that's just like it's on a different level at the moment. And I know that there are a lot of like ultra butthurt Smash fans when I say that, but yeah, I don't know.
I think they know. I can't imagine they would.
I've had some people in my chat who like are very, very huge Smash fans who get like really fucking adamant
Really?
about insisting that like no, Smash is this huge fucking thing and it's about to hit CS:GO levels of popularity. Like Smash is
No.
getting fucking huge. Like it's like no. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
All right, let's see. I think we're coming to the near end. That was a question for ReDeYe. I apologize that he's not here.
Question we can answer for him.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So yeah, I remember him talking about this. He's like, Gfinity and others are using community casters as part of their product. Gfinity is a publicly traded and well-funded company. Should they be compensating community casters? Since community casters are not companies, would they be classified as unpaid interns in legal terms?
What? You would just be if they paid you, you would just be a 1099 employee. They would pay
Well,
you for
right,
that.
but the first part is, should they pay them? Should they pay them?
I don't think there's any sort. I feel like the word "should" makes this sort of like moral implication, like they should be, but they're not, so they're
That's what it
bad or
sounds
something
like.
like that. I don't think "should" is the right word to use there. I feel like basically there, and the way sort of we talked about this a little bit off stream, unfortunately, but Gfinity actually provides like graphics and like a support guide to help them with if they have any questions when they're streaming. The community casters, it's a really cool. What they're getting out of that is the ability to cast high level games, to cast a big tournament and get a lot of viewers, and that's giving them a big opportunity to be like, oh, Gfinity, I'm gonna watch one of the community streams. Oh, wow, I really like these streamers. Bam, and they pick up a following, and it allows them to sort of hone their craft in this like mid-level area. And I think that's where we get the next Apollo and the next Tastosis and all this kind of stuff. Was sort of building this sort of farm league of community casters, and then the ones that really perform well and really do the best can be sort of brought up as time goes on.
It's kind of weird to ask that Gfinity would do it when there's been a ton of community casters for everything. Red Bull's done community casting, DreamHack has, MLG has, like all these people have done community castings. I don't think you've ever been paid for community casting any of that, right?
No, you're paid an opportunity. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to pay them because they don't need you.
Yeah.
Gfinity does not need the community caster. Gfinity is doing a nice thing to allow other people to cast their event, which is great, and it's awesome that they're doing it. But I feel like none of the community casters feel entitled to being paid for their doing the community casting.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Moving on. In Controller Destiny.
Interesting question.
Okay, so in David Kim's post, he mentioned that in the current state of StarCraft, the most popular suggestions aren't always the best for the game. How much influence should the community have in the development of the development progress of game design, and why? Jeff?
I think it's an interesting question. I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to this, and there's going to be people that definitely disagree with me. But my opinion is, I think the community has typically, in my opinion, best been used as like a stress test. So when they go into beta form, seeing if the servers can hold it, or if there's a major game-breaking thing, like the Warhound made its way into beta, and it was only through beta that we were like, this is fucking ridiculous. This should never have seen the light of day. So that's where I really feel like community has a huge impact on game design. And I think that's ultimately how Blizzard's using them. I'm actually not a big fan of them being like, we're thinking about doing this thing, and then everyone just kind of shouts at them and says, this is how you should be thinking of that thing. because there's so many different opinions and so many different people with so many different ideas, and none of them are in the eye of the storm or like are professional game. I mean, most of them are not professional game designers. I mean, it's the internet, so everyone is obviously with 12-inch dicks, but for the most part, they don't know as much about what they're talking about. And a company like Blizzard has proven that they're going to release a pretty fucking good game. They've also proven they'll make mistakes like the rest of us, and they'll have duds. So there definitely should be community involvement, and there definitely should be trial and error and beta and stuff like that. I'm not arguing otherwise, but I'm not a huge fan of like, hey, community, yes or no on this concept, and then everyone shouts at them, and then that's what happens. Because I actually don't think the community knows best a lot of the time.
All right, Steven, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I think Jeff Rowe took care of it.
All right, good to go. Steven, this one's for you. What are your thoughts on not being invited to the Twitch OG from Justin TV to Twitch panel? Since many would... Huh?
No, go ahead. I mean, it's a great question.
Oh, it's like many would consider you one of the most prolific streamers during that time.
I don't know. I didn't know the guy that hosted the panel or whatever, so but you probably didn't think to invite me.
Okay. I don't know anything about the panel. I didn't know if this is like a big panel or something like that.
No, I think it's like 3 or 4 guys that have been streaming on Twitch for a long time. I think Towley was one of them. He was the only one I recognized.
Okay. Let's see what else we got. All right, so why doesn't Blizzard have a model for their esports like Riot Games? I think they're slowly developing a model for esports. They're figuring it out, like with Hearthstone, for instance. Probably just one of the most successful, just out of nowhere games that Blizzard has released was Hearthstone. Blizzard did not expect it to be as successful as it was, and then it blew up. People were selling beta keys and making a lot of money off just the sales of that collection of those. The game is making a ton of money. There are millions of players, and there is a very strong competitive scene that is continuing to grow around the game. And I think Blizzard is slowly over the years realizing, and they adapted quickly, right? That's getting a lot of esports support. I think the Heroes of the Storm is a great example of Blizzard looking at the other existing MOBAs. That's probably, we could arguably say that's the most popular genre right now, right? With Dota and League of Legends, and they're implementing what Dota and League of Legends did. But then they put their own little Blizzard twist on it, made it very user-friendly, very low skill floor, and it's getting a lot of traction. So I think they're slowly developing their model, but they also play a lot of different games. With Dota, it's just Dota MOBA. With Counter-Strike, it's the first-person shooter. With Riot, all they have to worry about is the MOBA, League of Legends. So, I mean, I guess I just say that they're slowly figuring things out. And Jeff, that was directed towards me, but I guess I'd like your opinion on Blizzard, and this person believes that they don't have an esports model. I believe they're starting to develop one.
That Blizzard doesn't have an esports model is what they're saying?
Yeah. Like, compared to someone like Riot, who seems to have this, like, ESPN style of handling their games and giving it support, and then the way they run their games. The model of the game, like this very...
Okay, I think... So, are we talking, like, purely aesthetics is what he's asking? Like,
I think
this
it
is
seems...
the production show that they put on?
Yeah, the type of support they give the productions of these games.
I don't know. In my experience, Blizzard has very clearly kind of shown that they have a style that they prefer. They take themselves pretty seriously. They have their boys that they really glob onto that they like a lot. Tastosis, Day 9. They have a lot of love for like Husky back in the day as well. Husky kind of blurs line there a little bit, but I think if they had it their way every time, their shows are very suit and tie, very professional. On stage, for Starcraft in particular, they've definitely had shows where it's like sports jacket and nerd shirt, so it is, I guess that's where the confusion could come in. But they typically like very safe, family-friendly productions that are more geared towards the less hardcore, like the generic fan base. And that would be the style. So yeah, I guess you couldn't call it like an ESPN production, but then you also couldn't clearly define it as like counterculture nerd shirt with sports jacket, like they can do both aesthetically. Yeah. But I would tell you, in my experience, because I've literally not been a part of certain productions, and the feedback was like my jokes are too geared towards the hardcore. They're too inside jokey. And then sometimes I can be a little bit more PG-13 as opposed to generically PG type of thing. That's some of the feedback I've gotten.
Okay.
So this is just from my experience. But in my experience, that's how they would like to have their shows. Is that
Gotcha.
open to changing? Is it different people that have different pins? Absolutely. So don't take what I just said as the gospel. This is how Blizzard is. But in my experience, this has been what I think is true.
Okay. Next question. Moving on. Won't talk about this question in general because we've already addressed it previously on the show, but we will bring up the Archon mode because there was just recently an announcement during the show. This seems to have come out that the Red Bull DC event that everyone's been waiting for, September 19th, 2015 in Washington, D.C., is going to be an Archon mode event. Did you guys see this?
Yep.
I just read the headline, yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
so Steven, you gonna Archon mode it up?
Pro Archon mode?
Myself.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously.
You can't do it by yourself.
You and
Archon mode. What the You're gonna go in there and just like, I'll fight 2 people. This is easy.
I feel like Archon mode is like harder than like playing normally. I feel like a pro will like go in with like a noob and just be like, all right, just don't do anything or and just let me handle it.
You and Team Caitlyn were pretty on top of things when the game first came out, but
I mean, played a little bit. Yeah.
so either way, it's so it seems they have an event that's going to be in conjunction with the WCS Toronto. Trying to read that. Give me 1 second, guys. So it'll be at the Toronto Convention Center. Will be the qualifier on June 26th, I believe it is. Registration's open. The link's on the front page of Reddit, so check it out. Jeff, what do you think about this? They're doing an Archon mode instead of a regular Red Bull, event.
Last year the Red Bull cycle had a lot of this too. Like there's the battle in Seattle and stuff like that, where I was a part of that, and it was just like it was a UMS. It was a lot of fun. There's no prize or anything like that, but people had a good time. And there's a big part of me that's always like, gosh, if only they would take that time, effort, and money and put it towards another big event, which they also did to their credit as well. That would be better. But I'm actually pretty okay with them doing different things. Like Archon mode actually can be really competitive, by the way. The idea is, well, it's not ladder, therefore it's cheesy and silly, but actually 2 pros controlling 1 army. And when you put a prize pool at the end of it, make no mistake, by the way, there's going to be a ton of fucking brother and sister signups or whatever, like 2 friends. But then there's also going to be 2 fucking serious pros that are like, that money's good and I want that money. You're going to see some pretty cool games, and I'm actually really excited for that. Like, do I prefer this every single time over normal competition? Absolutely not. This is not to replace it. But as a one-off, I'm pretty excited. I actually, it gets 2 thumbs up for me. I think it's going to be great.
Okay. Steven, you have any thoughts on that?
It's so hard to tell how it'll go. I mean, it could be really good if people take it seriously. I don't know. Does anybody else get like major like Starbow vibes from like the Archon stuff? Not to shit on Starbow, because Starbow's really cool. Where, like people think it's like super hype for a little bit, and then everybody just kind of forgets about it immediately. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think
it'll depend on whether or not like the money is there for people to take it seriously. I think.
Yeah, I mean, for this event, I see what you're saying, and I would like to address that, because I think for this event, I think it's not in danger of being over sensationalized in a Starbow kind of way. I think it'll be great. And I think with Red Bull backing it, no matter what, even if it was Starbow, it would still be great.
Yeah.
But as far as after that, the longevity of Archon mode, I think Archon mode is just a healthy enough mixture of like, it's friendly for the noobs, but it's still competitive enough, that there's like the potential for it to be interesting for everybody else. And it has the mainstream access, by the way. Like it's a part of StarCraft as opposed to like a mod that you have to you have to do 3 clicks to get to it, which is too many for most people. I think it's gonna be pretty strong. It's gonna be what 2 vs 2 should have been, in my opinion.
Maybe,
Absolutely.
And it's not gonna be reliant on maps like 2 vs 2 was, and that's why ultimately multiplayer games kind of failed in a way.
Okay. Let's we're getting to the end of the question list. I can see the end. No, I won't answer your question about. Dang it. All right. Will microtransactions even if they were there. Will microtransactions save SC? Microtransactions will not save SC2. Will they help? Hell yeah. I think it'll do a lot to contribute to a growing user base. A lot of people come to these games and they get kind of dragged in with these, little clerks. I love CS:GO. The idea of getting a knife. I would go on these little kicks of just trying to, collect as many of those cases as I could. If I had a little extra cash, I'd buy the cases and some keys. I put a lot of money into the game, which, that goes to Valve, who runs tournaments and all kinds of stuff. So it's just a bunch of different aspects of how these microtransactions can affect the long-term, success of Starcraft. But will that in itself? No, I think that being a fun game to play is going to be first and foremost, and then availability and, customizing your experience will then follow.
I think on the subject of microtransactions, like whether it's microtransactions or something else, I feel like the current monetization model for StarCraft is antiquated and it doesn't work because there's no incentive for Blizzard, and this has been talked about to death, so I'll try to make it short. There's no incentive for Blizzard to continually update and patch and put a lot of resources into StarCraft if there's not an expansion coming up, right? In between the expansions, there's this lull of development, and not as much as is worked on, improved, new features and things like that. I think a lot more healthy way for StarCraft to exist is in this infinity game kind of an idea where it's constantly being developed and improved at all points in time. Money is constantly coming in. Maybe that's microtransactions. Maybe it's something else. I feel like microtransactions is kind of the obvious go-to here. Not saying that there isn't something more creative that we could get to that would fit more with StarCraft, but that kind of a model where there's money coming in and Blizzard has incentive to continue developing the game when it's not upcoming expansion pack time, I think is a really healthy direction for the game to take.
Cool. Any other thoughts on that? Nope. All right.
I agree. I think it's well said.
I agree too.
Yeah,
Thanks,
in agreement.
guys.
All right. Well, that actually looks like we've answered all the questions. So let's see. Anything else to wrap it up? Oh yeah, I wanted to read out. I've never done this before. I didn't realize I actually had subscribers, right? Because found out recently that Twitch has been sending the few checks that I've gotten from advertisements to my old address, so I had to update that. And then I looked and I was like, oh man, I have way more subscribers than one. So I'm gonna read those out. Give a shout out to those guys. Doc Woot, Laser Sec, Blasted 101, Lupa, Hopsalot. This is Kaz, Beeps, Durzapanis, Krugerson, and Bloodfeast Rambo. Thank you all for subscribing. And that's going to be the extent of my shout-outs. You can follow on Twitter at LikeandGTV. I like Twitter followers. And I no longer put your names on the Kamika-chan pillow because she's dead. So
Wait, what happened to her?
I disassembled her. She is now, you can't see it.
Wow.
Well, so I was going to do it.
Is it too much use or?
No. No. I took some feedback. I had a big old thread. A lot of people responded, and one of the repeats was, "Hey,
God, that's so weird.
no more Kamika-chan." And so I was like, okay. Now, what I really wanted to do, right, is inside the pillow, I was going to take a ketchup bottle and saran wrap to hold the ketchup bottle in place. And then I was going to just set her in the chair. And at the start of the show, I was going to come up behind her and I was going to slit her throat with a knife and then squeeze the ketchup bottle so it just
So fucking weird, dude.
squirts.
Wow. That's
That is one of the only ways you could tell me a story about your hugging pillow that you have and make it weirder than it already is.
So anyway, that's how I wanted to get rid of her. Instead, I just told everyone, "Hey, I'm done with it," and I took the pillowcase off.
That was a really wise decision. I'm glad you did it this way. Oh man.
Oh man. Anyway, so for those who don't know what I'm talking about, I used to have a waifu pillow. Now I just have a waifu pillowcase. Anyway. So Steven, what's going on in your world? What are you streaming? Did you finish Witcher yet?
No, not yet. There's a lot of shit to do in that. The second area is not as much fun as the first area, though.
No. So you taking a break from it?
Oh, I'm kind of, yeah. I've been grinding the leagues a little bit.
Okay. All right. Anything coming up? Any events? Destiny 2?
No, I don't think I have anything planned at the moment. Just kind of playing the games.
Okay, yeah, for the watch, right?
Whoa!
I
JaKaTaK, turn back. JaKaTaK doesn't want to be spoiled.
yeah, that's not a spoiler. JaKaTaK doesn't need to know what that's about. Everyone don't.
Worst spoilers. Let me tell you, the worst spoilers are when somebody says something and like, "Oh no, that doesn't actually happen." Or, "Oh no, this is not a spoiler."
I'm not saying this is not a
I
spoiler.
hate when people do that. They're
I'm
just
just
like,
saying
yeah.
the words that I said.
If he's dead, as if it's not a spoiler. It's like
The words that I have said
yeah.
have spoiled nothing. The words that I have said has spoiled nothing.
I was ignoring you at that moment in time because I got distracted by something on the screen, so it worked out
JaKaTaK,
perfectly.
take off your headset. Mute us.
All right, cool. Let me know. Give me the thumbs up. When I come back.
I want to message you, okay? Holy fucking shit, guys! Let's talk about that episode. Jeff, you saw it, right?
No, I did something better. I read the books, you son of a bitch.
Okay, so
Have you watched the TV show at all?
I know that Jon Snow dies, yes.
Oh well, I
watched all seasons.
It's highly unlikely.
I watched
to be
all
set.
4 seasons. I own those, and I did not watch season 5. I'll buy it. when it's
Season
out.
5, I think, is the most infuriating season if you've kept up on the books. I think from everything that I've read. If you have any respect for Stannis as a character, he is completely assassinated through season 5. Like he's the dumbest fucking retard. Like in all the fucking things. Like of all the tenacity and courage and honor and bravery and shit that Stannis has in all the books, in season 5, he went from being in like 1 hour of like all of his story arc, he went from being like a tenacious, honorable person to burning his daughter at the stake and then running his whole army headlong into fucking certain death and then killing himself. Like it was the dumbest. Like he's fucking so stupid. Like you've never seen a hype train come to a stop as quickly as fucking Stannis' hype train came to a screeching fucking halt. I think everything in season 5 for Game of Thrones was like really weak and really iffy. As they've gone like more and more like away from the books, I think the D&D crew have like done like some really fucking questionably fucking cheap, stupid shit, which is really weird because there's so much. I never thought I would like Game of Thrones. I never thought I would start watching it. But after, like, season 1 was really good. There's a lot of nuance. The politics and all that bullshit was played really well. There was a lot of slow build-up. And the season finale has always felt really good and really satisfying. The season finale for season 5 was just, it was full of a bunch of really cheap, silly cliffhangers. A lot of just inexplained stupidity. I don't know. I really didn't like the ending of this season. Like, the more that I think about it, the dumber it seems. Like everything, and towards the end of season 5, the trip to Dorne where Jaime goes, and they all that like it like some of it was like borderline like slapstick like comedy sketch where like Jaime, Cersei's brother, and Brom like go to fucking Dorne and he fights and he uses his fake hand to stop a guy, kill him, and they show up at the palace at the same time as the assassin girls show up, and they have this big laugh and my pussy, and then like the woman that almost assassinates, the woman that tries to assassinate Cersei's daughter just happens to be at the send-off for her leaving, and then gives her a big old kiss on the lips that's of course poisoned. And then, you know, like on their way back, like the daughter has this nice heartfelt moment with Jaime where somehow she knows that she's the product of incest right before she starts to succumb to poison. So you get to there's so much fucking dumb shit that happened at the end of season 5. Like, oh, like everything felt like all of like the nuance and all the cool shit of like the first 3 and 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. Like, I don't know, season 5 just had a lot of really weird, kind of off, like poorly written shit.
Jeff, does that bother you when you read a book and then you watch it made into a movie or TV show and doesn't stay true to the book? Does that bother you?
No, I look at it as a separate experience. Like, the only aspect of this that bothered me was how many people were robbed from. Well, robbed, I guess, is too strong of a word, but like, they weren't able to take advantage of the experience that is reading these books. I think, as a guy that reads a lot of books, these are some of the best fucking books I've ever read. And the idea that Ned Stark literally dies 3/4 of the way through the book 1, and he's on the cover of the first book, and everything about the book is that he's the main guy, and then he dies, the Red Wedding, like all these different experiences that I had. And as a reader, I was like, it was like none of this I've ever experienced before. It was incredible. People are like, oh, you should have read Shakespeare. Yes, I read Shakespeare, but this is different. It was more visceral. It was great. So that's the only part that bothered me, is because there's so many people like, well, I'm going to finish the show, then turn around and read the book. And it's like, okay, that's still good, but, you know, you missed out a little bit. But
I
no,
think
the show-
I think watching the show and then going to the book, it seems like I've started the books now. I'm only in like barely. I think I'm 4 chapters into book 1. Like I just recently started, but I think that using the show as like a gateway into the book, I think would be a lot cooler because it'll give you a lot more background. And sometimes that's the only way you can get people into books. Like I'm sure a lot more people
Absolutely.
started reading the Harry Potter stuff, once they saw the movies.
Yeah.
Although the Harry Potter movies were pretty well done.
if the two worlds are they'd never read the books,
Mhm.
or they read the books after they watched the show, I vastly prefer that people read the books after they watch the show. Absolutely, yeah.
So, all right, one real quick thing before we bring JaKaTaK back. You, well, actually, we can now. Okay, we're done with Game of Thrones. Come, I'm gonna tell him to come back.
Are we done with Game of Thrones? Wait, what were we gonna ask? Oh.
Oh no, it's gonna be about Orange Is the New Black, which Jeff just recently started watching.
Yeah.
Why did the guy? Wait, can I ask a question? Wait, don't tell him to come back. Wait, is he already back?
Wait, no, he's not. Hold on. I'm using my phone to tell him. Wait, no, okay, he hasn't put his headset on. Go ahead.
Okay, why is it that when Jon Snow brought all the wildlings back through the gate, okay, so here are some questions. Why is it that Jon Snow brought all the wildlings back through the gate, and the guy, who was the asshole, the sir, what was like the guy with the curly fucking white hair, and he's a fucking dick, and he was like the previous like senior kind of guy in the Night Squad?
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Barristan the Bull?
Is that his name? I feel like it was like a Sir something.
Well, Sir Barristan, the old guy?
No, not the old guy. There was like an older
Oh.
guy who was like one of the most respected people. He was the guy that ran against Jon Snow when they did voting for.
Oh, I know.
I was saying Alistair Thorne or whatever. Yeah. Why is it that he let Jon Snow back into the base or back through fucking the castle? Why did he let him and all the wildlings in, only to later kill him?
Because he probably didn't come up with it at that
Thing.
time.
Well,
It was
but, like,
probably.
why that's so weird. Like, okay, fine, we'll go ahead and let all you guys in, and now we're gonna kill you because you brought them all. Like, well, that was so weird. Like, either like I expected him to either just like keep the. That was such a weird moment because it was like, oh my god, like that moment showed the growth of that character where he realized like, okay, maybe it's more important to have the wildlings with us so that we don't get fucked by all the fucking wind.
Well, no, remember what he said on the way inside? He's like, you have a big heart and it'll kill us all.
Sure.
And then fucking, let's talk about foreshadowing, right? Let's talk about Ollie sitting in there with,
No, but I'm just saying, like, why would he let him through with all the people?
because he hadn't come up with the
And
plan
kill
yet.
him afterwards for? Like, why? Like, make up your mind. Like,
Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I know he gets, in the books, he gets stabbed as well, but
no, the problem is, and I'm sure, Jeff, you said you read them all, right?
Yes.
Apparently, the whole lead up to Jon Snow being stabbed multiple times, like, there's a lot of background and context that goes into that. Much the same way that, like, in the show, Stannis charging his army to fucking Dreadfort or whatever is fucking full-blown AIDS. Like, he just fucking suicides all of his shit. And right now, apparently, where it's left at in the books, it looks like Stannis has everything he needs to fucking obliterate the Boltons. Like, absolutely annihilate them. So a lot of people are thinking that in the next book, there's going to be a lot more context into why Stannis loses that battle, whereas in the shows, it looks like full-blown AIDS. And I think that's kind of what happened with Jon Snow getting assassinated at the Castle Black or whatever, maybe, is that they just didn't go into enough because they didn't have enough time, I guess? I don't know.
one more thing. Ollie, right? When he's sitting down with Sam, and Ollie's like, he's all upset about the wildlings and Jon Snow going to get them, and he's like, Jon Snow feels that that's the right thing to do, and sometimes, it might not be the right thing to everyone else, but it's the right thing. And Ollie goes, you really mean that? And you see him take this moment of just, like, contemplation, like, okay, thanks, Sam, for the advice. And then he fucking kills Jon Snow. Does anyone else hate Ollie? No?
I mean,
I fucking hate
yeah,
Ollie.
I hate Ollie. Wow, that's a pretty edgy opinion to take there, that you would hate the guy that would backstabbing at one of the most beloved characters.
I'm not trying to be edgy. I just hate that kid.
Sure. I also don't like, this is oh man, there was a really good, some guy made like a really big post. I'm parroting a lot of his opinions about some of his reasons why I didn't like why he didn't like some of the stuff going on with Game of Thrones. It seems like with Game of Thrones, and again, I'm not trying to do this like the beginning was so much better, but I felt like in the first like 3 or 4 seasons, there was a lot of nuance to the characters, and you had people that weren't necessarily like super bad and super good, except for like, there was like Joffrey was like the only universally bad person. Even Cersei, who's like a massive cunt. Like, there were moments when
Redeeming moments, yeah.
Yeah, there were moments when fucking King's Landing or whatever the fuck was being attacked by Stannis' army, and she was with Sansa, and she was talking about how being a queen is shit, and her whole life is fucking miserable. Like, well, you're like, okay, well, Cersei, you're a massive cunt, but like to some extent, you know, like I guess I can, you know, kind of see why you're a massive cunt. But it seems like the further like we've gotten along, we're getting into these like universally bad, like the Ramsay character. It's like I think the way the guy in this Reddit post made it was he was like, apparently the writers of the show in season 5, what they saw from the earlier seasons was, man, people sure do like it when bad guys never die and when good guys get killed. It's so it's so edgy, and that's like what's happened, where you've seen like these people are a lot more black and white. Like when Arya kills that one guy who's like the pedophile dude, like that guy, there was already like plenty of reasons for Arya to kill him, right? She'd been repeating his name. It's because of the shit that he did earlier in season like fucking 1 on killing Serio and doing, and I think he slapped some fucking kid or whatever, right? But in order to make him like the ultimate bad guy, now he's also a child pedophile raper who also likes to beat children before he fucks them. Like, what, like, do we really need all of this shit? Like, we already know that he's a bad guy. Like, it just seems like super fucking excessive. And then Ramsay being like the invincible, like ultra evil character, like the guy on the ground is like, I surrender, and then Ramsay kills him anyway, and it's like, okay, we get it. Like, Ramsay's a bad guy and he's never gonna fucking die or get hurt by anything, and he's just gonna do like all the worst evil shit. I don't know, just yeah, I don't know. All of season 5 seemed like so much worse than. You had Theon maybe finally coming back from being Reek, and that moment lasted like 2 seconds, and then they jumped off the fucking wall, and it was like, what? What the fuck? I don't know.
Well, I don't think they're dead. I think there's like a snowbank down there, and they.
Well, yeah, I know, but it was like that looked like it was supposed to be. And again, I'm not even close to the books. I haven't read the books, but I don't know if the books are actually there yet. Are they, Jeff? Where Theon has come back from Reek?
I don't think so.
It looked like that probably should have been like a really fucking important moment, right? Where Theon has this fucking catharsis where he comes back and he realizes that Reek is wrong and he's gonna save Sansa, but instead like the girl gets like pushed over the balcony, and in all of like 35 seconds he grabs Sansa's hands and they just jump over the wall, and it's like, holy fuck, like how many autistic cliffhangers are you trying to like cram into the end of this you got Brienne of Tarth shows up out of fucking nowhere? How is Stannis just in a forest with nobody around, and then he kills 2 people, and Brienne just shows up out of nowhere to quasi kill? Like, what the fuck was that? What was the point of that? Like, how did she sneak into the fight? Like, why did nobody give a fuck that Stannis was out there? Like, I don't know. There's like so much weird, stupid shit going on.
All right.
I don't know.
All right, I'm bringing JaKaTaK back. Poor Jack.
Poor JaKaTaK.
I will say that the last one you just talked about, you know, that woman, I didn't like that it cut to black before it finished the scene, before it finished the.
Well, obviously it's because she didn't kill him. Like, I think that's pretty obvious, right? Like, there's no
idiot, Lycan.
Well,
I'm pretty sure she's not dead. Like, that seems pretty out. Like, they explicitly show so much death in the show. Why would they not show Stannis getting killed by Brienne?
All right, he's back.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, Tyrion dies.
Why? Now you just did the thing that we said where somebody's like, "Oh, this is a spoiler," but then it's not a spoiler because now JaKaTaK's got water. Well, so then that means that he doesn't die, or maybe he does and he's trying to reverse mindfuck me, and then. Why did you say that?
You just did that.
You just did that. Yeah, it's safe. I just ignore everything.
All right. So Orange is the New Black, right? Is based, for a lot of people that don't know this, it's based.
Wait, are we talking about the NCAA?
No.
That
was pretty amazing.
That was a good meme. Good meme. Anyway, talking about the what do you call it? What were we talking about? Oh yeah, so we're talking about the show. Jeff just started watching it, and for those who don't know and have watched it, it's a Netflix series, and it's based on the memoirs of Piper with a different last name than the main character. And
oh really? I didn't even know it was based on.
Well,
that's pretty real.
So that's why I fucking hate the show, because there's so much of that shit that is not true. Like the girlfriend, Piper's girlfriend, doesn't appear in the book. Like as she's leaving, like as she's on the way out of jail, that girl shows up, and it's just like a passing by kind of experience, right? There's no interaction. HBO has done what they do to everything. They've over-sexualized it. They've changed the story to appeal to the masses, which, hey, you know what? You're making a TV show. I'm sorry, HBO, Netflix. They've taken it and they've turned it into this fucking sex prison story instead of what it was. It was
totally disagree, man. They address like really serious like very complex, deep topics like the prison industrial complex and like sexism and like
Sure. If you don't mind that,
they address
yeah.
rape. They're really serious. They take this really cool sort of like, it's kind of a comedy, but they also address really serious issues. And I think that the story is interesting enough, so it sort of presents these more serious topics that wouldn't normally get.
I'm not
presented
saying
up
it's not
like
a good show anymore
conversation,
in
which
the
are kind
sense of.
cool.
I'm not saying it's
Can
not.
can we just put you on record liking that you're a woman-hating man in there? Right.
Gamergate all
I mean,
the way.
that's kind of redundant. Like all men are women.
I'm just clarifying. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not saying it's not a good show in the scope of things. I don't like that it's deviated so far from the book. Even season 1 was so far away from the book.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well,
For
fuck.
me, at least, I expect that to happen. I just assume I approach them as two separate things. Like, reading Lord of the Rings and watching the movies are two
Oh my
separate
fucking-
experiences. You know?
Well-
it never happens that way. There's never a movie or show that's really close to the book.
I don't know.
Because
Like,
it's a different medium. You're telling the story
Right.
in a different way and telling it straight up.
Yeah, dumbass.
Doesn't I don't think it
Okay,
makes sense in
so-
those situations.
I'd say that Lord of the Rings is way closer. Like Lord of the Rings books.
Be
Lord of the
careful,
Rings books.
'cause you-
Taking into consideration the amount of shit that is in those books, okay? Lord of the Rings books, Lord of the Rings movie, you guys can't see me, but my hands like one's a little higher than the other. But then if you fucking go Hobbit book, Hobbit movie, like I'd have to walk down the block because that's how fucking far apart they were. So Orange is the
agree.
New Black is a walk down the block.
Well, somebody, I think Zombie Grab in chat is saying that like it sounds like Orange is the New Black. The TV show wasn't supposed to be based on it. It was just quote unquote inspired by it.
Okay, well maybe if they say
But what's
inspired by
confusing about that is they have the same name, which always throws people off. They do that a lot, though. They do. I can't remember the last name.
Can JaKaTaK? Never mind. I'm sorry. Oh fuck. JaKaTaK later on. There's a fucking meme, and it's just called 20 Good Men. That's not like a spoiler, I don't think, but. Oh man. People are saying if only Frodo instead of doing all that bullshit with Mount Black, they should have just sent Frodo and 20 Good Men to the mountain. Oh dude, there are so many fucking memes. That's like something different. Oh fuck. Oh shit. These memes. Sorry.
So let's talk about Orange is the New Black, the other one. Fucking white chick impersonate. I mean, it's just so obvious. There's an interview of her where she is refusing to answer the question, "Are you white? Are your parents white?" Steven, I know you've got to have
Is this the NAACP thing?
Yeah, I know you've got an opinion on that.
I don't know. Shit. It was just funny as fuck.
Jeff,
What do you
That
mean
one's
there's an
pretty funny.
interview? So there's an interview with the actual person that the story is based on.
Yeah.
And the interviewer is asking the person if they're white and they're refusing to respond. Is that
yes,
accurate?
and then she starts walking away.
Well, wait. Oh god, I'm sorry. I might be totally out of touch. Is she related to Orange is the New Black?
No, you made the joke because there's that meme.
Oh, just me. Oh, well, yeah, that NAACP. What is she like, the head spokesman or something?
Where,
Yeah,
for the Seattle chapter or Washington chapter, yeah.
she's fucking white as fuck. Like her parents are white. Like she's fucking white, but she's like so tanned and shit. I guess she spent the past part of her life trying to pass herself off as like being black.
Pretty
And
incredible.
she got called out on it. Oh my god. Oh, it's pretty funny.
I mean, all she did was get it like a really big tan, and then she crimped her hair to
Yeah,
fuck.
and she's like, and she tries to. And it's just
Yeah,
funny. It's like one of the
But
most
she's the head of the NAACP
well, not like the head of the NAACP. She's like a high
of a
spokes.
chapter. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's
I'll dial
that's
it back. That's still pretty funny, guys.
It's pretty
okay?
bad. That's pretty bad. Like she fucked.
That would
she
be like
was,
me being like the head of the Seattle chapter for like abortions. Like, oh, like I'm speaking out on behalf of abortions.
I'm not saying it's bad that she's white. I'm saying it's fucking ridiculous that she is trying to be black and like, I don't know,
Wow, what an edgy
identity
opinion.
issues. I'm not trying. What's with these edgy comments? I'm not trying to be edgy. I said it's ridiculous.
Hey, Steven started. I just followed. I really like this jib.
The interaction is good. Keep it
Hey,
going.
this-
I'm having a good time.
That throws me off
American male.
so
I'm
easily.
not sure about this woman pretending to be black. Can we take a minute here?
Oh,
That we-
Christ!
that's
All
so
right,
wrong.
what about fat people hate guys and Ellen Powell? And
Oh god.
Ellen Powell, CEO of Reddit, loses sexual discrimination lawsuit against their former employer. They say, hey, you know what? As a sign of good faith, you don't have to sell or you don't have to pay us the $1 million in legal fees that you were ordered by the court to pay us. And she says, no, instead of not appealing the case, which by the way she lost, very, very clear-cut loss, she says, you will pay me $2.7 million. $2.7 million are the legal fees that her husband owes from a Ponzi scheme that he was in.
Ex-husband, I think.
Ex-husband, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, she's
Sound like
she's
a really functional family.
scummy person. Then she comes to Reddit and she's trying to make it a more I can't remember the word that was used. Some not friendly place, but more tolerant place, I guess. I don't know. So she got rid of Fat People Hate and 4 other subreddits. And I don't know what Fat People Hate they're on now, but the last time I saw it, it was number 16.
I love that I live in a day and age where someone and their morality is questioned because the website that they reside over wants to close down a forum, a sub-forum, that literally posts pictures of human beings, and just all they do is talk about how much they fucking hate them and don't like the way they look.
The argument against it is the other subreddits that they leave up.
Yeah, well, see, like, this is the problem. The problem
It's like far darker shit on Reddit.
Because there's worse things we shouldn't ever, like, every
Well,
time
the problem-
I raise money for wounded soldiers, and someone's like, but you're not feeding starving Africans, you fuck. And then you're like, well, no, but I'm helping them. And they're like, not good enough.
Well, no, the problem is that it came off as like this really weird kind of inconsistent thing. I think that's what made people mad. And the excuse that she gave for it was like something that was like very obviously not true. Like I think she said that the reason why they took it up was because of targeted harassment, which is not allowed, even though Reddit as a whole is kind of engaged in off-site stuff, like encouraging people to email senators about SOPA, or you have like you and me know firsthand, like SRS has targeted specific individuals and try to end their careers and whatnot. Like that kind of stuff has happened like across all of Reddit. So it was just really weird that she kind of targeted like 4 subreddits and like crucified them when it just seemed really weird, and a lot of people got like super ass pained by that. And I mean, understandably so. Like it came off as being like really weird for a lot of reasons too.
Absolutely, but that's not. I hope you can recognize that's not a defense for those subforums to exist. It's like, but there's other ones that are bad. Her response should have been, "You're right." And I guess it's just because I really don't like those because I'm probably an overweight woman and I've been targeted a few times. Hang on. But they're still really bad and they're going to go. We'll start looking at those other ones as well. Let's open up a forum to talk about it.
One thing I saw that kind of made a little bit of sense is that Fat People Hate has made it several times to the front page, right? Like to the very top of Reddit, and along with the other subreddits, I believe, that were mentioned. And it's more of a, Reddit's looking to monetize. So from a business perspective, Reddit's kind of like cleaning out, things that can give it a bad name. Yeah, the other ones exist, but they're a little, subversive. You don't really see them at the top layer. But when Fat People Hate is making it to the front all the time, Coca-Cola doesn't want to sponsor Reddit when you see Fat People Hate, right next to that Coca-Cola logo.
Yeah, and that's another thing too, where people are thinking that she's trying to kind of sanitize the website a little bit more for advertisers, and all of that could be true. And again, like if that was the post, like for me personally, like I said, like I don't really have like a stake. I never watched Fat People Hate. I don't really like circle jerk subreddits anyway. And I wouldn't want to die on that mountain, like defending Fat People Hate, like isn't what I want to shut down. But like, yeah, see, like Zombie Grub in chat is like completely and totally missing the point. Zombie Grub is completely and totally missing the point. Like, there's a lot of people that are really happy that the subreddits got shut down because they're bad subreddits, which is fine. But like, you can't shut them down for like weird kind of arbitrary rules and then not apply that consistently across Reddit. Like, you have to see that could be like open to like a lot of abuse or like weird interpretation and whatnot. Especially as there are like really fucking disgusting subreddits. Like, I think there's subreddits called like Cute Female Corpses that has like in the thousands of subscribers. That's literally justice of sound. It's like it's female corpses that are cute. Like there's a lot of like weird fucked up shit that's never going to be banned off of Reddit. So the fact that she came out and banned those subreddits because of like some weird, she said it was targeted.
I hear you, and the logic's sound. It's applied in so many different areas. It's just, as a person, I've never been inspired by the argument of like, but there's worse things, and like those things are bad too. So don't just arbitrarily close down this other bad thing.
No, because you're misunderstanding. Because what you're talking about is a very real fallacy, right? Where if somebody wants to donate money towards one thing, you're like, well, what about the other thing? Okay, well, that's a problem too, but that doesn't mean we can't pay attention to this. Sure. If she had said we are shutting down bad, offensive subreddits, and then she shuts down Fat People Hate and 3 others, and people are like, well, what about these other ones? Then yeah, I would agree. Okay, we'll work on shutting those down too. Like, yeah, that's what we're doing. It's the fact that she said we're shutting down these subreddits for X reason when there are other very large subreddits that are never going to be shut down
when they
I'm not
have those
misunderstanding, Steven. I'm just disagreeing with the fundamental thing that you have to shut down all bad things arbitrarily if you shut down any. I don't agree.
The thing is, the problem is that the reason why she gave for shutting down the subreddit isn't probably the actual reason it's being shut down. Like, she lied about it. Like, it's bad PR. And then it makes everything else sound
I already addressed that there could have been better PR, but like the byproduct of this horrible event where they're closing down some bad ones but not others is those other fringe websites. Like, let's say I'm the head moderator of cute female corpses, and I'm like, oh my god, if they're closing down hate on fat people, where will we share pictures of cute dead corpses? Like, what if they come after us? And if those people are worried about that, I'm okay. I'm all right with this. If I'm on the forum that's like, I like looking at daffodils while drinking brown sugar, they're probably not. So, like, I'm okay
that, like,
with this world where the fucking bad forums are like, oh god, they're gonna start talking about us now. Maybe we'll get shut down. Who cares?
Yeah, but that's not the reason that it works. Like, you can't say fuck them there, because if you get rid of all of the consistency and all of the rules, then you have to move on to other subreddits. So let's go to something that's less shitty but still shitty. Are you familiar with subreddits called like the Red Pill?
Yes.
So the red pill is basically women are these idiotic objects that are to be manipulated in whatever way possible to fuck, right? That's kind of what, and then men are the superior shit, right? So those subreddits are pretty fucking bad, right? Like, I'll read that shit if I want a good laugh. But I mean, like, would you ban those subreddits because they have some pretty fucking extremist views? Like, I think that it's harder, even if you would agree that those are to be banned, I think you would have to agree that it's harder to say that you should definitely ban things like that that have that, like, that extreme. But then, like, and then if you go like just like a little tiny step farther, then you get into, and this is what people are worried about. You get into where you
slope. Here we go.
Not really.
Yeah, you're doing it. But go ahead.
No, not really.
Yeah, you are.
No, slippery slope is only a slippery slope if there's no way to connect A to B. That's like when you say something like two gay people get married, well, now animals are going to get married. That's slippery slope because, okay, well, nobody's fucking calling for animals getting married just because gay people are going to marry, right? So
turn down your points. I get it.
Yeah, sure. So when you get into something, let's say you get into something where you have like Kotaku in action versus the Ghazi or whatever, right? The Gamergate shit, where you've got the pro-Gamergate and the anti-Gamergate. Well, if the CEO of Reddit, who has identified herself as being a pretty extreme feminist, right? And that's not like a controversial thing. Like, I think she got rid of like salary negotiations because she said that women are treated unfair. Like, she's done some pretty out there stuff, and she tried to sue her last employment for sexual harassment or whatever. So let's say you get into a scenario where she starts banning subreddits like the pro Gamergate subreddits because she feels like, well, those subreddits only exist because they harass people. Like, I feel like you get into like a really weird world where, okay, well, now we're starting to ban subreddits on some kind of weird arbitrary ruling, and now we don't know if it's the agenda of the CEO that's coming out or if we're actually banning harassing subreddits. Like, I think that's where people are worried about seeing things headed.
I'm okay with it. It's not America. It's their website. There is like the idea that it's all about freedom of speech and anything can be discussed is actually a projection from the people. That's not a guarantee. And if your forum is on the chopping block because it's some fucking fucked up shit that's being propagated there, until we have like our puppies on the chopping block and people are like, whoa, why are we discussing our puppies? And they're like, well, they've just gone out of hand. Like, they're getting crazy now. Then we'll have a discussion. But as long as it's like our hate fat people and red pill and cute female corpses, Steven, there's not going to be a single goddamn tear to come from my eye because we're arbitrarily shutting them down. So that's what that's where you and I aren't seeing eye to eye on this.
Well,
like,
the
you're like, in America, my daddy raised me to talk about anything I want. And I'm like, that's fine in America, but on Reddit, they can close shit arbitrarily. And as long as it's objectively bad shit, I'm okay with it.
First of all, none of it is objectively bad. This is all subjective. Even fat people hate isn't an objectively bad thing.
I changed my word to subjective.
Okay. So,
same point.
like, this isn't like in America, because even in America, private companies can do whatever they want. I'm not arguing that Reddit should be legally compelled to allow things. I'm just saying that you can't, like, you have to understand that if you've made it okay to start to arbitrarily ban subreddits, then you're going to wind up in a weird spot where some subreddits will get banned, and you're going to get a great schism in the site, and now people are going to be wondering, are these subreddits being banned because they're actually bad, or is the admin or is the CEO starting to push an agenda? If you start to see a whole bunch of these sites, these subreddits get knocked down, and it doesn't appear that there's any kind of consistent thing, it's very easy for the user base to look at it and go, okay, it kind of looks like the CEO is just pushing an agenda here. Like, this is like really weird.
They should have had better rules. They should have had better PR. I don't disagree on any of these points, but given that they didn't do those things, we're living in a world where our fat people is closed down and being targeted by an agenda. Is that bad for the company as a whole? Probably. Should they make better rules? Should they make it pretty clear that they don't have an agenda and in fact are trying to pursue getting rid of all the bad ones or none? It has to be one or the other. I agree with you on that point as well. Yeah, they should. But what I'm trying to say is the sky going to come crashing down because Reddit handpicked some really heinous subforums and is inconsistent about their application of their rules? No. No, it won't. Some bad forums will get closed, and some other ones are going to get looked at, and people are going to cry because, philosophically speaking, they established themselves as a freedom of speech guru. You know, you can say whatever you want here. And then, lo and behold, it turns out when you tell people they can talk about anything they want, weird fucking shit happens. Like, people talking about cute female corpses, your own example. Like, that is some fucked up shit, man.
I think that's like the.
Well,
cool
I think you mentioned they're in control as well. You mentioned like, is that going to be bad for the company? Maybe I don't think it's even bad for the company at all that they're shutting down like hating on fat people and shit like that. It's like, why would that be? Like, is this tiny minority of people like, oh yeah, we have to go and hate fat people somewhere else? What the fuck, you know?
Okay,
like,
so
I don't really think it's going to hurt their company.
Get into weird things where, and this is starting to get really weird, where you could actually say that in some ways it is kind of bad that they would shut down a subreddit like it because they think it's a negative thing. Because now you have this weird world where, okay, well, Reddit shut down fat people hate because they think that it's an objective, or it's a bad thing. Like, this is a negative thing. It's negative in every aspect, right? Which most people would agree is true. And it was. Fat people hate was a pretty disgusting subreddit. It's so disgusting that they actually will link to, like, they were linking to and harassing other people posting on other subreddits. Like, it was pretty bad. But now you get this weird thing where it's like, okay, Reddit banned this subreddit because they said it was bad. Does that mean they're like implicitly, you know, condoning all of the other shitty subreddits that are up because they haven't banned them? Like, it's kind of weird now that if you start picking out things like, so do you have like condoning of the other subreddits, or I don't know. I think it's like a whole weird fucking thing that's going on now.
It's not the ideal place to be. I absolutely agree with you on that.
And again, like I said, if they would have just made a consistent ruling, if it would have been something like subreddits that are dedicated to disparaging other people, right, which can be pretty broad even, but if that would have been the ruling, subreddits that are dedicated to disparaging whole groups of people are going to be banned. I don't really know if I would agree with that, but I could support that. Or even if I disagreed, like, I would respect that. All right, cool. I mean, we're going to get rid of shit like that. So fat people hate all the other fucking racist subreddits, whatever. Yeah, if I can report them and get them banned, I'm cool with that.
Wait.
But just inconsistently applying rules just makes everything so weird and grayish that it's not comfortable to live in that area, I think.
I don't disagree with you on that.
All right, we're gonna have this out. I have one thought real quick. Was fat people hate, like, was it a very, I didn't frequent it, but I thought, because I've known about it, and I thought it was like just more of it was like an anti-fat acceptance movement. So it wasn't like.
So here's how everything in the world works, okay? You have 100.
Teach me the ways.
Everything in the world.
Everything in the world by Stephen Bottle. Here we go.
100% here, 100% here, okay? 98% are reasonable people on this side, 98% are reasonable on this side, 2% are extremist fucks on both sides, and the 98% of both sides attack the 2% on each side. That's how it works. So fat people hate, the subreddit said what they attacked was all of these fat people, because apparently every fat person believes in something called, it's like HAES, which is health at every size. So fat people tried to say that, well, we're just a subreddit that's making fun of people that think that they're healthy even though they weigh 400 pounds. So that's kind of what some of the fat people hates people tried to say, like, okay, well, no, we don't just hate fat people. That's not true. We're just hating on this idea that fat people think that they can be really fat and still be healthy, even though I don't think there are a majority of fat people anywhere that say that. There was just like a few crazy fucks on Tumblr, just like with the feminism, just like with the social justice warrior shit. There are a few crazy fucks, and then everybody tries to pretend that like all of the other people are represented by those few crazy fucks. I think that's what like the fat people hate thing kind of was.
Okay. This whole time I've been wanting to make it, like, I can't remember the poet's name, but I wanted to make when they came for the fat people haters, I didn't speak out because I wasn't a fat people hater. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's the memes. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So anyway,
I didn't even hear about it until Destro.
I saw that. That spoiled
on there some shit. It was amazing.
That spoiled the last episode that we won't talk about. That spoiled the ending of that fucking episode for me because in that thread was that
poor
spoiler.
you. Anyways, the stories about Destro was put on fucking hate fat people,
and it was fucking horrible.
You had your episode spoiled. Or
well,
he had a thread of people hating on him.
And it was terrible.
Yes.
It's pretty shitty.
That was the first time I ever even heard about that dark corner of the world.
That's how I knew that they were on Fat People Hate 16, because someone tweeted that out, and then, yeah. Anyway, so I think that was, man, Jeff, you're a great addition to the show. I'm glad to have you on. Like that was a good. Someone called it the machine
debate.
And that was fucking spirited debate indeed. JaKaTaK, you and I just sat on the sidelines and enjoyed this.
I did. I enjoyed the shit out of that.
Yeah,
man.
it was good, man. I'm a little chubby.
I'm just like the personal laugh track of this show. That's why I'm here.
Well, I used to be that, and then I used to get a lot of comments like, "Oh, I like him so awkward. He just sits there and laughs at everything." And they're like, "Well, fine. I won't find anything fucking funny anymore." Jesus Christ. So anyway, JaKaTaK, glad to have you here. Always good to have you here. You provide a lot of great discussion. What's going on with you? You're a great content provider for the community. You have anything coming out soon?
Yeah, man. CSN is kicking into high gear, which is really exciting. We're editing the show right now, the CSN training camp, which is late. The semifinals of that are going to be live. The finals are going to be live as well, so that's going to be cool. I'm also working on a content series with Pult, Violet, and Stardust. So it'll be educational stuff, and it'll be coming out weekly. And I'm working on building up a bank of videos for that. So once that solid sort of bank buffer zone of videos is going on, and the show is done, and the website is done, we're also building a website. Those are all going to sort of come out at the same time, and it's going to be crazy and awesome and exciting. So I'm pretty much just doing that. So really excited about that, working really hard on it, and all the usual stuff for me. Like I'm going to be streaming Legacy of the Void as soon as this is over at twitch.tv/JaKaTaK and then youtube.com/JaKaTaK is all my YouTube stuff. I've been making more musical stuff. I've been a lot more musical recently, which is making me super happy. So that's good. And then Twitter is at JaKaTaK, Facebook JaKaTaK, JaKaTaK, TV, JaKaTaK. And that is all.
Booyakasha. All right. Steven, what's going on in your world?
Nothing
I
much,
think we
man.
already did that one before we got into the fat people debate.
Yep, just grinding some leagues.
All right, cool.
Funnest game in the fucking world. Absolutely the most fun game. I've never had more fun playing video games in my entire fucking life. People ask me, do something that you love and you'll never have to work for a day of your life. Well, I decided that I wanted to be less of a lazy fuck and go back to work, so I'm playing League of Legends every fucking day.
Well, are you still doing ADC?
No, fuck that role. That is cancerous as fuck. I'm actually sad that I wasted so many fucking games playing the cancerous fucking bot lane. So now I'm playing cancerous top lane or cancerous mid lane. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Who's your favorite top laner so far?
My favorite I don't know. I like split pushers. Tryndamere or fucking Heimerdong or somebody that I can just play the fucking lane and not have to worry about the rest of the team and go partake in there. Like, I have to take care of my 4-year-old kid. Like, that's all I want to babysit. I don't want to join a fucking game and have to babysit 14 other people who are acting like fucking retards. Like...
That's awesome. All right. Anyway, Jeff, what's going on with you?
Keep it busy. I'm leaving this weekend for a Warhammer tournament in Austin, Texas, which also means I get to go to the Salt Lick, which is the best barbecue place I've ever been to. I'm very excited about that. I'm also happy to announce that I will be at Home Story Cup. I'm going to be one of the hosts, commentators, and general poker, what would you call them? Sharks? I'm going to take a lot of kids' monies. So I'm excited to do that. I haven't done an international event this year yet, except for Katowice. So I'll be out there. I'll also be in Toronto for WCS. Really excited about that. I am going to be part analyst, part caster, and I don't actually get a lot of casting gigs, and I really fucking like casting, so it's going to be fun, and I'm excited. And that's my immediate world right now.
I'm excited.
And other than that, I just stream.
I'm excited for Toronto, man. I'm gonna finally get to meet you in person. And
oh, you're gonna be there?
Yeah. I'm gonna be in Toronto. When do you
Nice.
leave for Toronto?
I leave Wednesday of next week.
I do
Wednesday?
too.
Yeah.
So I think the show will likely be canceled next week, guys. Well, not canceled, just it's gonna be on hiatus because we're gonna be traveling. And awesome. As far as me, the late game, every Wednesday you can check it out. Hit that follow button. Follow me on Twitter at LikenGTV. I have the Lycan League, which is a weekly Starcraft 2 tournament. We're not going to do Archon mode anymore. It's just not catching on yet. Maybe after Red Bull, Archon mode will kind of, get a little bit of popularity. But until then, we're going to go back to Legacy of the Void. We might try to do an NA-friendly tournament since everything we do is at 10 PST, 1 EST, So on the Europeans for the Europeans. So we're gonna try to figure something out with that. But really, that's it. Oh, the Patreon is gonna get updated. One thing I've wanted to do is have a wrestling belt, right, as a monthly prize. When I used to do Gosu Pizza, I used to want to have Gosu Pizza, custom wrestling belt. So I found them. They're pretty cheap. I can get one for like $130, right? So my thing is that there are 5 panels. There's one in the middle, 2 on each side, and that those will each be a goal, right? So if you want to put something on the fucking belt, you can lock in that goal, right? And I'll just divide the amount by 5 with a little bit more going towards the middle plate, right? And yeah, so I'll have more details on that. That'll come out next time. But it's pretty fucking sweet looking, and I feel that for our selfish reasons, that'll boost viewership and participation because people want to see who's getting the belt, and people want to get the belt because I play for $100 in a belt. So anyway, that's what's going on in my world. Thank you guys for coming. In Control Destiny, thank you guys for hosting.
Pretty prejudicial for people that don't have a lower half of their body, right?
What?
Can't wear belts.
Well, I mean...
Well, it's not a functional belt. So if you didn't have a lower half, you could still sort of...
Yeah, they put it over their
around your
shoulders.
torso,
It's just rubbing it in, man. Just rubbing it.
So here is a science question that I asked my stream, and nobody was able to give me a resolute answer. Let's say you're sentenced to death by hanging. How much of your body would you have to remove to survive? You think if you cut, legs are pretty fucking heavy. If you were to chop off both your legs, you think you could survive a drop? Like, if you were to work your fucking neck, I don't even know what the fuck exercises you would do to work your neck as hard as fucking possible. You think you could survive the drop and then be able to breathe and shit? How much of your body would you have to chop off to survive?
I think they just leave you there until eventually you die, though. Right?
Well, I think he means so you
Yeah,
wouldn't
you
break
would
your neck.
eventually die.
Like, how much would you have to cut off so that you didn't have enough weight to snap your neck?
Oh, I
Yeah.
understand. But
Well,
then they would just leave you there to starve, or assuming you can breathe, just starve or dehydrate to death.
Steven, is the basis of your question to find out if you could leave that noose and live a normal life, or is it to...
Well, obviously it wouldn't be normal. You'd be missing your fucking legs, man. Like,
Whoa! All right. How about that paraplegic fucking discrimination, man?
do you think if you kicked the way, like, if you kicked, I feel like this should be like a Mythbusters episode. If you, kicked on your way down, like, before you hit the fall, you kicked up, do you think you could, even out the fall so that you wouldn't, break your neck?
Well, I think that I did know a guy who was a sailor, professionally, and he had an accident, a sailing accident. He landed on his neck, and he sort of snapped his neck, and he was so he went to the doctor, and then the doctor basically said the only reason you are alive right now is because you have ridiculously strong neck muscles from this career of sailing that you've been doing. So I think that you'd be able to mitigate some of that with really, really strong neck muscles and perhaps, cutting off a leg or two.
Gotcha. Another thing that I've really wanted to try on my stream, and this could be a leg game thing, right? This is my first good contribution to the leg game, my first good idea. Okay, we need to try a waterboarding stream where we set it up and fucking do it and see what people think. I'm curious.
Would you do that, Steven? You'd get
I would 100% do it. Yeah, it looks interesting.
Really?
Right? I think so, yeah. Because it looks like one of those
the
things.
most pain you can subject a person.
Yeah, but it looks like one of those things where if you really try, it wouldn't be that bad. But I mean, obviously, it's really fucking bad. That's why I want to I want to fucking try. I mean, I'm sure I'll be
All right.
wrong, but it'd
Hey,
be
I can
interesting.
get on that shit.
What's the
Steven
next
says he'll
fucking
do it.
the next event that we can get to together, or maybe we'll just the
We
100...
need, if we do it though, we have to get somebody that's a professional, because I don't want to do it and then people are oh well, the guy he just wasn't good, so that's why I didn't, or the rags weren't thick enough, or the rags were too thick, or something stupid. You have to get somebody who's from the military or whatever.
And you got to sell out. You could get a lot of money for that.
All right,
Yeah,
Steven,
hell yeah. I wouldn't even. Yeah, it would be interesting as fuck.
Let's do that for the 100th episode. Let's do that a live episode, right? We'll fundraise so we can make sure we're all together, and then we'll fucking waterboard each other.
No,
Each other?
try
Oh,
that.
I'm not
I can
volunteering
waterboard
to
you guys if you
waterboard,
want,
man.
but-
Jeff will be the
That's not
enforcer
happening.
to make sure that the guy waterboarding us doesn't go overboard.
Get it?
No.
The puns are already starting.
I actually didn't mean to do that. All right, we've reached pun level humor, guys. So I like the waterboarding idea, though. So I'll keep that one in the
So did
in
America.
the hopper. Yeah. Oh, topical. Anyway, thank you guys for all watching. It was a great show, a lot of fun. We've gone down some paths I didn't think we'd go down.
In one of the future episodes, This might be boring as fuck. I think we should just have like a 5 minute at the end. Okay, you guys get to do StarCraft picks. We should do like caucus picks, like primary picks, because we're starting to come up to that where people are gonna be running in primaries and shit. We try to pick who's gonna win or lose like in different states. I think that would be. So we can get all our audience involved in politics and shit, right?
So like
Yeah.
a fantasy political.
Sure.
All right,
Political game.
let's fucking do it. We'll have to have an all-American cast, but yeah, let's do that.
Whoa, what, all American? America's politics affects the world, dog. Other people should know.
Actually, I feel like a lot of the people in Europe have a better understanding of American politics than a lot of
I
Americans do.
disagree with that completely. I used to think that, but I think
Really?
European politics are pretty fucking stupid too. The problem with America is it seems like our politics are the dumbest around the world, but it's because we're the loudest, right? America's the like our culture bleeds over to every other country for better or for worse, right? But there's a lot of fucking stupid shit that goes on in other countries too, I think. But
Do you guys see how easy it is to trigger him and like get him into a new
why do you think I'm
topic?
triggered right now? Why do you think I'm triggered?
I'm not triggered. Just like I felt like you were on the precipice of a new rant.
Calmer than you.
We're not ranting at all. We're just having a conversation, mate.
We are.
All right.
Anyway,
Thanks for
it's time
tuning
to
in.
wrap it up. Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Holy shit, dogs.